All right, it is her big night for Kamala Harris, a chance to connect with the American people for whom many, she's still a blank slate. Gene Sperling is joining us right now. He has served under so many presidents, now the Harris campaign senior advisor. Gene, very good to have you. What's at stake for her tonight?
Thank you.
She has to spell out not only her economic vision, which is your specialty, but it's a delicate dance, right? Because a lot of Americans aren't feeling the recovery she's talking about.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because when you look at her first economic speech, one of the things she did was she did not spend a lot of time going through what she could have, the various economic facts of why lots of areas of inflation are coming down. What she said instead was, I get you. I get you thinking that meat prices are higher than they were in the pandemic, and I am going to be a person who takes on powerful interest to lower those prices, whether it is people doing nefarious things to keep grocery prices from coming down, or taking on big pharma to lower prescription drug costs, or taking on big oil. So she made a very strong message that she is focused on how people are feeling and taking concrete action to lower their costs that are making people struggle right now.
But do you really think,
rents,
though, Gene, that they do
well.
that some of these food companies are doing sinister things like rigging prices? You know, your old colleague Jason Furman, who was an economic advisor as well to Barack Obama, says it's more about supply and demand, that this is not a sensible policy, referring to what Kamala Harris introduced. And I think the biggest hope is that she intends for it to be more rhetoric than reality. That's coming from a top Obama economic official who said it was silly.
Yeah, well, he's wrong, but that's okay. But listen, let's stay with your initial question about what she is doing tonight. I can go through the details of why she's focused on nefarious action. It's not about controlling prices. But the more important thing that she'll do tonight is talk about her biography, who she is, who she fights for. And what you're going to see is a person who, as a prosecutor, as an attorney general, took on powerful interests to help middle-class families, people being hurt. And what she is doing in her economic speech as well is letting people know, I will not hesitate to take on a major corporate interest that is taking advantage of you and exploiting prices during a crisis.
That is not
Nor
happening.
will I be afraid to take on prescription drugs
I get the
to help
prescription
lower
drug
prices,
but Gene,
to have
please,
the negotiations that
but
brought
to blame
down
it on
insulin
food
to
companies,
$35.
I know, Gene, but on the food thing, it's a silly
Neil,
argument. You just know it's wrong,
Neil,
right?
Neil,
when the Washington Post says it's gimmicky, when the New York Times says it's unrealistic, do you think that's wise for her to do tonight?
Neil, thank you, but you just made up stuff. You didn't listen to the words she said. What she said in that speech was, first, I will work with business to work for top American goals like affordable housing. She announced a new tax cut.
No, she
for
talked about
builders
price gouging, Gene. That's what I'm talking about.
Neil,
she's saying, Gene, please just answer my question. She's talking about price gouging. I understand the other stuff you mentioned.
Neil,
do you really think food companies are price?
Neil, we just heard.
Do you think food companies are price gouging? Gene, I'm not lying to you.
Neil,
do you think price gouging is going on?
I do think, Neil, I do think that there are nefarious actors in crisis who have taken advantage of things. And I think it is worth looking at the fact that profit margins in the beginning of this year were at the highest level in 20 years. If you listen to what Kamala Harris said in that speech, she said most companies are good, honest, but there are bad actors. And when there's bad actors, whether they're Corinthian, a company that took advantage of students in the way Trump University did, or prescription drugs companies that raise prices, or groceries that manipulate prices, she, unlike Donald Trump, is going to be the champion of the middle class.
But do you think it is wise? Do you think it is wise to point fingers at others when a lot of it could have come, innocently or not, from this administration of which she's been a key part, and a lot of the spending initiatives had a habit of bringing up prices? Do you think that's possible?
Neil, if you actually listen to her speech, and as opposed to what you were saying, she said what she said.
I listened to the whole thing. I wrote it down, and I got a copy of it here.
Yeah, right, Neil. And did she or did she not say most companies play by the rules, but there are some who do nefarious actions? We have heard there are 40 states, Neil, blue states, red states, that have found it necessary to have a price gouging law, not because they think everything that happens is due to bad behavior, but because you want to have deterrence and the ability to tell large companies you do not buy up water bottles in the middle of the crisis. If there is a new strain that scares us all on some drug, you do not want a company buying up all the masks and then charging $25 for each one. There is virtually nobody in the American public that thinks that's an acceptable thing.
Is there anyone in the American public,
when she is
Gene, is there anyone in the American public,
actors, as she has done as Attorney General,
so when bacon goes up 20%, when bacon goes up 20%,
who have ripped people off on grocery prices, she is going to be the champion of middle class, and she is going to take them on.
But
and
Gene, do you or the administration take any blame? Do you take any blame, Gene,
what you are claiming?
Gene, I love you dearly, but it's a simple question. I have no agenda here. The right and the left, they both hate me. So let's settle that. Let me ask you this. Is it possible that this administration should take some blame for the double-digit run-up in food prices alone? Any blame at all? Do you accept any blame? Should she accept any blame for that?
No, I think overwhelmingly what people are seeing is that the United States got through the recovery with greater jobs, greater growth. The global inflation that you talk about happened everywhere in the world, and the United States is one of the places where it's coming down. If you look at what the Federal Reserve looks at, which is the PCE, it's already been down to 2.5. Now the regular inflation is 2.9. So yes, I do think that most of this is a once in 5 generations or 10 generations pandemic that shut down the global economy, that created supply chains and stoppage and many things, and that what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did is make sure American families and small businesses and child care centers and the middle class generally was able to get through that crisis, but also have a strong recovery where they had a little bit of cushion.
And you're right, inflation has come down dramatically from those high levels in 2022. But when it did go up and it did spike double digits and food prices rose to the degree they did, do you think your spending had anything at all to do with that? Anything at all?
I do not think it was a significant factor. And I think we were also hurt some of the food prices by the invasion of Ukraine. Several things happened. And Neil, I just want to say something.
Sure.
She did not say that the whole reason that prices were higher was because of this. She said that when somebody takes nefarious action, when somebody exploits, she wants the power, as she did as a prosecutor and attorney general, and as 40 state attorney generals have right now, to be able to go after that. I want to make clear, we are not using any price mechanism. We are not using any automatic price mechanism. But when you go back to your initial question, what is she doing when she speaks to the American people? Is she showing she's on their side? Is she just bragging about numbers or feeling their concerns
we'll hear
and
what she
showing
has to
she's
say
addressed
tonight.
it?
But just to be clear, Gene, just to be clear,
showing
when Jason
she's
Furman
taking on powerful interests to lower prices for middle-class families.
When Jason Furman, the top advisor, says it's really about supply and demand, no more, no less, you disagree with that?
Kamala Harris said that this was about taking on nefarious actors who at times do exploit prices. And there are 40 state laws. And the issue is that a wise thing to do? And should Kamala Harris be the champion of middle-class families when a big corporation, and maybe I could put words in your mouth, too. I will say, Neil, you never, ever believe that any major corporation has ever manipulated or exploited American consumers.
Gene, I wish we had more time. I really do.
If I said that, that's not fair.
We saved a lot of, Gene, we saved a lot of time. We saved a lot of time talking over each other. Otherwise, this could have gone on forever. Gene, very good seeing you. Best of luck at the Harris campaign. We'll see what happens and be paying attention to her tonight.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.